Since the beginning of time, humanity has had a fascination with the preservation of history. Ever since the introduction of the age of media and the birth of the internet, it has become far more accessible to find pieces of media such as movies, TV shows, ads, and video games that were once thought to be lost. The creators or producers of these pieces of media probably hoped that they would have remained buried or stored away, never to be talked about again. This, thankfully, is not the case, and thanks to the media, subreddits, and Lost Media Wiki, it's become easier to learn about and maybe even find these once lost pieces of our history by acquiring the help of like-minded people who have way too much time on their hands. However, today I want to talk about the top 10 strangest pieces of lost media. Keep in mind that all of the entries on this list are still lost. Even if we're pretty sure of their existences, until an actual copy is discovered, we still consider it lost. Some of the entries on this list are dark, some are funny, and some are downright confusing. And it's here that I want to say that the last 3 entries on this list tackle heavier topics, and that's why I put them at the ending spot. I will be putting a content warning on them as well. The following will be talked about, so if you are uncomfortable with these topics, feel free to click away, after of course going through the first 7. If you happen to like this sort of content, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down below if I've missed anything about these pieces of media, as there's a lot to talk about. Or perhaps there's something you want me to talk about in a later video. Link it down below, and I'll be sure to look at it. Now with that being said, and in no particular order, let's begin with the list. Number 1. The Flintstones. The original Flintstones comic originally aired from 1960 to mid-1966 and was an animated sitcom produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. Regarded as a television classic with several spin-offs and tie-ins, none have gotten nearly as close, however, to replicating the original magic that was the 60s show. One of these supposed spin-offs only made it to the script drafting phase of production. In 2011, it was released that Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy and American Dad, wanted to and was planning on reviving the series. Originally announced as a promo on Fox, MacFarlane made it clear that he wanted to give respect to the 60s show that he had grown up with, however, modernize it, claiming, think 1990s Simpsons comedy. In April of 2012, a draft of the script was sent to former head of Fox, Kevin Reilly, for approval, who was on record as saying that he liked it but didn't love it. Reportedly, Reilly went to MacFarlane and told him he could either rework the script or just scrap it altogether. With the directorial debut of Ted, revitalizing Carl Sagan's Cosmos, and working on his main projects of Family Guy, American Dad, and The Cleveland Show, Seth decided it would be best just to let the show go. The team who worked on the show was reportedly disappointed with Seth's decision, as most of them were eventually laid off. On September 15th, 2017, MacFarlane hosted a Reddit AMA, and when asked about the Flintstones project, he said this: "As of now, probably not. Honestly, I couldn't figure out a way to find enough differentiation between a modern-day Fred Flintstone and Peter Griffin." Number 2. The lost uncensored episode commentary tracks of Adventure Time. Adventure Time was a television show about a human boy named Finn and his magical pet dog named Jake, and the adventures that they would go on. The show was known, especially as it progressed, for its smart and relative humor, and was successfully able to address more politically difficult subjects such as 2 individuals, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline the Vampire Queen, forming a romantic relationship with one another. However, from 2012 to 2014, Warner Brothers would release the first 4 seasons of Adventure Time on DVD and Blu-ray, with a special bonus commentary track for certain episodes, featuring the cast and crew of the show. Some of these commentaries were censored, however, with large chunks of dialogue being replaced with ukulele music or vocal echoes. It was uncovered that the reason for these censors was to maintain a TV PG rating, and some were for legal reasons. Season 2 of the show received the largest amount of complaints from older fans due to the heavy amount of censoring prevalent on the Season 2 commentary track. In an attempt to tone down the amount of censored content in Season 3 and 4, the cast and crew decided to come up with a safe word which they decided would be orange juice, if and when the subject matter was towing the line of what they were allowed to say and couldn't. All national and international DVDs which contained the commentary track had the same censors on them, and since Season 4, the studio has not made any more commentary tracks for home video releases of Adventure Time. It is still unknown whether or not these uncensored tracks will ever be released, and what was even on them. Number 3. Charlie Brown's AllStars. Charlie Brown's AllStars is a baseball video game based in the world of Peanuts characters. The game was supposedly developed by Farsight Studios and was to be published by Namco Bandai Games for the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation Portable, but was cancelled before it could be released. The plot followed Charlie Brown, who after losing yet another baseball game, meets up with his friend Linus, who introduces him to Mr. Hennessy, the hardware store owner, who is willing to help Charlie and his team finally win a game. It was said to feature over 70 playable Peanuts characters, with 30 initially being announced. According to the Lost Media Wiki, it would also have 4 party games, consisting of battling, fielding, and pitching, along with a Simon Says type game called Lucy Says. The advertisement shown here and at the beginning of the segment was a supposed advertisement for Charlie Brown's AllStars set to be released in 2007, and was printed on the back of the instruction manual for the PlayStation 2 version of Snoopy vs. the Red Baron. The website at the bottom of the ad no longer exists. Farsight allegedly, however, got involved with too many projects around this time and didn't have the staff or the funding to work on the game, and thus the game was cancelled. No build of the game has ever surfaced since its cancellation. However, a render of Charlie Brown's character model from the game was released online and can be seen here. Charlie Brown's AllStars is not really that much of a strange game. I mean, the Peanuts cast would often frequent the baseball diamond in their movies, shorts, and comic strips. However, I added it to the list because of the supposed 70 playable characters, each with a unique ability, the minigames, and the fact that after doing some research, it's possible that the game is actually based off of the TV special of the same name, which followed after the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown TV special, which followed a almost identical plot. Number 4, Meme Run. So, yeah, this is kind of where the list starts to get strange. Meme Run was a 2014 endless runner game released by the Nintendo Wii U and Ninja Pig Studios. The player reportedly controls a stick figure with a troll face as its head, with an objective to get as many swag points as one can in a randomly generated 2D world of Lenny faces, as several other memes attempt to block and obstruct the player's screen. Other memes featured were the Illuminati symbol, the Get Out Frog, quickscoping, and air horns. Despite the game's beauty and grace to the respect of internet meme culture, the game was released on the Nintendo eShop on December 18th of 2014 and was priced at $4.99, which was heavily criticized by consumers who had concern over the price wall blocking the game, despite the owner, Jordan Schutz, not owning any of the material in the game. During a pre-release interview in November, Schutz had said that he and his brother were inspired to make the game after spending months on the r/montage parodies subreddit, and claimed that the reason Nintendo approved of the game was because they, quote, realize I'm targeting an untapped market. Nonetheless, the game was released for only a little over 2 months to horrible reviews, receiving 1 out of 10 stars in Nintendo Life, the abysmal rating. In the same rating, Nintendo Life stated, Nintendo needs to start taking a hard look at its eShop policies for the Wii U. Even more interestingly, on January 6th of 2015, a full year after the eShop release, a Steam Greenlight page for the game was created in hopes to bring the game to the platform. 4 announcements were made, which showcased trading cards, backgrounds, and the emoticons of the games, which players can receive on Steam if they had bought the game, as well as a discussion on the Steam Workshop for support. In March of the same year, the game was removed from the Nintendo eShop. It was revealed on the r/Nintendo subreddit. The creator of the trollface picture, Winnie, wrote a post about how he had filed a copyright infringement on the game. Most likely because of this, the Steam Greenlight page has not been updated since until 2017, when Valve removed the Steam Greenlight service, destroying the chances of the game's release on PC. The Wii U version, despite being taken off the shop for some time now, has been dumped and can still be played via a Loadine backup program. The PC port will most likely never be released due to the game's now outdated humor. And of course, the legal issues. Number 5. Batman Fights Dracula. A rather well-known piece of lost media, mainly for it being as strange as it is. Batman Fights Dracula was a 1967 Filipino parody comedy film directed by Leody M. Diaz and written by Bert R. Mendoza, starring Jing Abalos as Batman and Dante Rivero as Dracula. As the name suggests, the movie centers around a battle between Batman and Dracula. It is considered by many to be one of the most sought-after lost Asian films of all time. This is due to no part that although we have still several stills of the movie, which are currently playing on the video, and small details such as the cast and the crew, very little information was ever really released and has been lost. At least one person, Frank Habawali, has undertaken a personal search effort for the film, which ultimately went unfulfilled. That is, until a large amount of new information surfaced on the Filipino blog site Pelikula ATBP. The plot of the movie, according to Pelikula ATBP, was centered around a mad scientist named Dr. Zorba, who, having been constantly thwarted by Batman, finds a way to sarcastically resurrect Count Dracula, trying to control him, even making him stronger by rendering typical ways of killing him, such as a holy cross, futile. After tracking down Dr. Zorba in his underground fortress, a character based on Robin named Reuben and Marita, the love interest, managed to kill Dr. Zorba by somehow turning Dracula against Dr. Zorba. Interestingly, Batman is not seen. The blog post on Pelikula ATBP clarifies the plot and provides several photos. None of the footage of this movie has ever been found. The movie is often confused with another Filipino Batman movie, James Batman. These two movies are completely different movies, but are often confused as they look rather similar. If you think, however, this is the first and only time the Caped Crusader has fought Dracula, you'd be wrong. It's not even his first. Andy Warhol's Batman Dracula was released in 1964, a full 5 years before this movie, and the third being relatively recent, the 2005 animated film The Batman vs. Dracula. Number 6. Furby Island. For those of you that may not have grown up in the 90s and early 2000s, Furby is an American robotic toy released by Tiger Electronics in 1998 and resembles that of an owl. It's interactable, meaning you can feed, pet, and in general just take care of the Furby, with the original version of the toy becoming a must-have gift for the Christmas season. Production of the original toy ended in 2002, and 3 years later, in 2005, Hasbro released a second-generation Furby with a new design, improved animatronics, and a limited voice recognition. In order to bring publicity to the new toy, a movie was released called Furby Island, which followed a girl named Maddie, who, with her brother and parents, would oftentimes go out into the natural world looking for rare plants and animals. They come across Furby Island in doing this, and end up having to protect the Furbies from being captured by the evil Dr. Conquest. The movie was an amazing success, as you can see, and Frederator, the production company behind the 45-minute film, planned an upcoming TV series of the same name. The show was said to release in 2006, and was to be an animated series that was to have 13 episodes per season. Besides the fact that this movie even happened, and the fact that a TV show was planned after the horrible reviews, the craziest thing about the show was the cast, with Tara Strong, who you may know from all of these voices, Allison Court, and Carlos Alazzacri, again known for all of these characters. The series was originally announced on Reddit by a former Frederator Studios employee, and states that based on the Furby Island movie's success, they wanted to proceed with a television show. A backdoor pilot was shown to Herb Scannell, the Nickelodeon president, in 2006, and the show was picked up. However, with the change of Zaima Zargami as president of the company, she asked for changes in the series. The creators were against this, and because of that, they pushed the show back and eventually it would never get shown to the public. Besides what was previously stated, the only other thing we know about the show are the names and plot of 3 of the 13 episodes, which are shown here. Number 7, Adventures in Wonderland, White Rabbits Can't Jump. Adventures in Wonderland is a live-action puppet musical television series broadcasted on Disney Channel from 1992 to 1995, based on Lewis Carroll's novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. The series revolved around Alice traveling to Wonderland through a magic mirror in order to find solutions to problems that she was facing in the real world. In doing so, partaking in weird and strange adventures with the citizens of Wonderland, which would always somehow relate to the problem Alice was facing. Classic 80s and 90s sitcom tropes. The show for a while was considered impossible to view in their entirety, with a total of 25 episodes of Adventures in Wonderland's 100-episode list being considered lost media. That was until Disney Plus added almost the entire run of the show to the streaming service, except for one. White Rabbits Can't Jump was the second to last episode of the series, and was notable for its guest appearance from former actor and football player O.J. Simpson. Yeah, the plot of this one is weird as well. It revolved around the White Rabbit not wanting to participate in the annual Wonderland Leap Year Games, as he fears he is going to lose. He receives encouragement from an imaginary representation of OJ, who gives him the courage to participate. The games end in a draw, with Rabbit being the one to break the tie. However, he loses because of his poor jumping abilities. However, his spirits are fully lifted when the real O.J. Simpson walks in and rewards him with the second place trophy. Production on this episode ended in late 1993, with it being set to air at some point the following year, during the show's third and final season. These plans were immediately stalled when on June 17, 1994, O.J. Simpson was arrested for the alleged murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and restaurant waiter Ron Goldman. The episode was never aired due to the glorification and idolization portrayal of O.J. in the episode. However, even stranger, this episode is one of 2 in the show's existence that has adapted itself into a picture book before the episode's release, which now serves as the only visual evidence that the episode even exists. However, it remains lost, and likely will never be shown due to the fact that Disney released every episode on their streaming service of the show, except for White Rabbits Can't Jump. Number 8. Mythbusters Cannibal Mouse. Hosted by veteran special effects artists Jamie Hyneman and Adam Savage, Mythbusters was a popular science entertainment TV show that puts various modern myths, story tropes, and urban legends to a scientific test. Adam and Jamie used the test to determine whether or not the myths were plausible or are busted. Lasting more than a decade, the show is known for its surprising results. However, one segment was so surprising and shocking that it never made it to air, and is the only segment of the show which never made it to air. Also, I'm going to throw a content warning on the last of these entries, as all of them contain material that isn't the most viewer-friendly, being the reason that they were taken off the air. In 2006, the episode Steam Cannon contained several myths attempting to be busted, one of which was that there's more nutrition in the cardboard of a cereal box than that of the actual cereal. The aired segment featured Adam and Jamie trying to find various means of determining the nutritional content in cardboard. However, most viewed the segment as boring, but to many viewers, vague and disorganized compared to the usually well thought out and exciting tests the shows were known for. The question of why this segment was so off compared to every other experiment was finally answered in a Q&A years after the episode airing. Savage explained that the reason for the odd experiments was due to the original plan for testing the myth that went horribly, horribly wrong, and thus unusable. The experiment had lab mice placed in 3 groups, one eating normal mouse food, another sugary cereal, and the last cardboard box pellets. After several days of filming, they had noticed that the cardboard-eating mice were acting very strangely. 3 days later, they found that the cardboard mice had eaten the other 2 mice in its cage. All that remained, according to Adam, was a head and a tail, and nothing but a rib cage in between. While Adam and Jamie had found the situation gruesomely hilarious, even so far as holding up the extremely fat mouse, which they had now nicknamed Killer, and joked around saying, "when mice attack," Discovery Channel and the show's producers, however, refused to allow the test to be shown on air, which forced the two to find an alternate experiment. Adam claimed that a rough cut of the footage was made and admits to showing it to the Northern Michigan Tech, but Discovery Channel had found out and forbade him from ever showing it again, insisting that he needed to destroy the footage. Though it is possible he may still have a personal copy, due to the graphic animal violence, Discovery Channel has made it nearly impossible for the remains of the segment to ever resurface, even if it exists. Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Busted. Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids was an animated series which ran from 1972 to 1984 and was produced by Filmation and authored by Bill Cosby. It was based on Cosby's childhood memories and stand-up acts from the 60s. The episodes often consisted of the characters getting into trouble and learning some sort of lesson from it. Many who look back on the show regard it as not child-friendly at all, with it having content consisting of STDs, racism, pornography, and most infamously, the episode on gang violence, where a child is shot and killed protecting his older brother. The show, despite taking on difficult and heavy content, was regarded as doing a poor job despite best efforts. Like in one episode, a special needs child being referred to as retarded, and in another episode, a white supremacist painting xenophobic slogans being portrayed as a wacky comedic situation. However, specifically we look to the episode Busted, which was used to teach children about the consequences of breaking the law. The characters visit a real prison and learn about the hardships of being in prison. While the episode itself isn't lost, however, the original airing of the episode, which contained uncensored swearing from the prisoners, and all later airings are lost. Since no recordings or clips of the original have surfaced online, DVD releases haven't even have the uncensored cut on them. There isn't a possibility of the original studio releasing it. However, since the episode aired in 1984, there is a possibility that a VHS recording may somewhere exist, though those chances are also very slim. Fake Doomsday. Our last entry on this list is known as Fake Doomsday, though the original name of the PSA is unknown. The lost Filipino PSA was supposedly about an upcoming doomsday or rapture. It is unknown who or what made the short and what its real purpose was. It starts with the word rapture with a date on the bottom of the screen, and a picture of Jesus Christ resurrecting in the background. What follows is a slideshow of disturbing real-life pictures of the Holocaust. Eyewitnesses described the people in the pictures as bald, pale, and skinny, with some of them being dragged by their necks. Another viewer claimed seeing the number 666, followed by old photos of people with the same number on their forehead. The PSA had ominous background music with a voiceover. The words, "This is a paid advertisement," was also shown at the bottom of the ad throughout its entire run. The commercial aired on IBC 13 during the top 10 movie trailers of the week in early 1990s, presumably in 91 or 92, along with the PCSO Sino-Sila commercial. The purpose of this strange or horrifying PSA is still widely unknown, some speculating that it is a fake Doomsday ad, with people who believed Doomsday is coming being the ones who made it. Others supposedly support the idea that the ad is to tell viewers to repent for their sins and accept Jesus Christ as their savior, hoping to scare or warn people about their consequences. Nevertheless, the ad has never been seen since its original airing. No media releases or VHS tapes have surfaced. The only thing we have are the eyewitness testimonies of those who had seen the ad, but nothing else. And that's the list. If you like this video, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. If I missed anything or more information about some of these pieces of lost media is out there, comment down below that information. And keep in mind I try to keep the entries as concise and straightforward as possible. However, some of them have way more stories and information behind them. Because of this, links to the Lost Media Wiki entries of all of these can be found in the description. If you want to do a bit more digging yourself, take it a look. With that being said, thank you for watching the video. I am Wasted Media, and be sure to keep digging for Lost Media yourself.